You are listening to Wilhelm, a film-centric podcast for film lovers of all kinds. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Wilhelm. I am your host, Ben Beck, and in this episode, we are going to war. That's right. On this episode, we are revealing our top 5 favorite war films. And to do that, as always, I need to bring in a guest. He's one of the co-hosts of the Panels to Pixels podcast right here on the Next Level Network. And he's the inventor of what we call live Steving. Please welcome to Wilhelm, my friend, Steve Brown.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love the whole live Steve thing. I was so scared. I'll be honest with you. I was so scared when I first started doing it that people were going to just be like, what are you doing? This is stupid.
I feel like we have to kind of explain it a little bit because I have listeners that don't listen to any of the podcasts that you do live Steving for. And there is no feedback section for Wilhelm yet. So you haven't had an opportunity to do it for Wilhelm. But it's you have done it for another podcast that I host with my friend Kristen, which is the Lost. We have to go back, Lost Revisited, which is returning in September.
Nice.
Thank goodness. After a very long but much needed summer hiatus that we took off, but it is coming back in the next in beginning of September. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
But live Steving is basically it's commentary. Anytime a podcast is talking about like a weekly show, whether it's The Walking Dead or Lost or, whatever other shows that you're watching, you usually submit your feedback. But unlike everybody else that submits feedback where they watch the show and then submit their feedback, you record yourself as you're watching and you leave a commentary.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And the only thing I've had to acknowledge is it's tough to do it. Like I do it for movies for another podcast. In fact, the podcast that coined the phrase live Steve, which was Paik and Daphne and I'm blanking on everything this week.
Run for Your Lives.
Yes. Thank you. Because that was where I started doing it, I think, and then just started picking it up on other. But it's hard to do it with a movie or a TV show that you've seen a lot of times. It's a lot easier to do if you just watched once or maybe. But I love it. And I do acknowledge that I think it was Paik was the one that picked that up first. And I also want to say thank you to, I don't know if she listens or not, but to Kristen, because I took her note that she gave on one of your We Have to Go Back podcasts where she said he didn't describe the scene. We have no idea what scene he's talking about. So now I've tried to do better about describing or saying something that's going on in the scene, not just, wow, that was intense.
Well, I know when it comes to Lost, anybody with a keen ear can figure out what scene you're talking about because you usually have it playing in the background and we can hear it as you're recording your section of commentary for that scene. So, but it's always fun anytime, Kristen and I get the feedback, and it's always great anytime I'm listening to any of the other podcasts. And I just love the fact that our close-knit group of friends that is incorporated into all these podcasts, you have your own term, and it's just it's so endearing and fun.
And I'm humbled by it, really. I do love it, and I just hope nobody ever gets tired of it.
I don't think they will. But yeah, so this, as is no surprise, this was difficult. There's a lot of war movies out there, and narrowing it down to a top 5 was incredibly difficult. As usual, I have more honorable mentions than I do top 5. But I felt it appropriate. This is the episode to do with you because you are a military veteran.
Yes. And I thank you for picking me or letting me do this one, because it was tough. It was really, really tough. At first, when I suggested it or put it in your doc that I wanted to do this one, I thought, oh, this will be easy. And then suddenly I started thinking about it. Oh, this is really tough. And, but I think I've got some good ones. I think we may have some similar ones, but we'll see.
I'm very interested to see where this goes, because I think some of mine are a little more modern. And when I say modern, I mean probably within the last 20 to 25 years. There are definitely some older ones that did make it into my honorable mentions as well, which I'm very curious to see if maybe that's where you lean more towards, because I know you're a bigger fan of the war movies than I am. And there's a number of them that even in my honorable mentions, I've only seen once, maybe twice, but they've had that much of an impact on me that they merited being in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've got one actually. I took it out of my top 5 and moved it because of reasons that I've only seen once, but did have a major impact on me. But it got moved to honorable mentions. So
okay. Let's get into it then. Let's just jump into our top 5s. Before we do that, I just need to let you know that neither Steve or myself has revealed or discussed any of our choices to one another beforehand, as not to influence each other's selections. So I don't know any of his top 5 or honorable mentions. He doesn't know mine or any of my honorable mentions. And of course, just a fair warning, if you haven't seen one or a couple of the movies we're going to mention, there's always a possibility of spoilers, so just be prepared ahead of time for that. That said, let's jump into our top 5s. And Steve, we'll kick it off with you. Where do you fall number 5 top favorite horror war movies?
War movies. So my number 5 may be a little surprising, and it surprised me even. But the first time I watched it, I went, "Oh, that's my number 5." And then I watched it again just a couple weeks ago to make sure it was still in my head. And it certainly was. And that's The Tomorrow War.
It's one I've never seen.
It's a very recent one. It's got Chris Pratt. It's got Yvonne Strahovski in it. J.K. Simmons is in it. The Bullet Mustang from Bullet is in it. And it is just a wonderful ride. I enjoyed it. I love the music in it. And there's a twist. There's a twist to it that's really cool, but there's also a moment where, and I don't, it's not really a spoiler because you figure it out real quick and the movie reveals it to you really quick. So the premise is, if you haven't heard, the premise is that there's a war going on 30 years in the future, and they have traveled back in time to recruit people to go with them into the future to fight this war. Mm-hmm. And so Chris Pratt is one of these recruits. They do a worldwide draft, so he's forced into it. And when he leaves, his daughter is like 8 years old. And when you get into the future and you meet Yvonne Strahovski, it becomes very obvious that that's his daughter, and so they reveal it to you very quickly. But it's obvious to the audience who she is, and not
so much to him.
Yes, and not like he didn't figure it out until there's a whole it's a funny scene where somebody says something about Colonel Forrester, and he goes, "Oh no, I wasn't a colonel," and she's like, "Well, I am," or something like that. So that's how he figures it out. But yeah, so the Tomorrow War is my number 5, and like I said, it's also got Marilyn Rice-Cube in it. I think I'm saying her name.
I think it's Rice Cub.
Rice Cub. Okay.
Yeah. But I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Who I absolutely love from 24. And so it's really, really cool. It's got some fun scenes. It's got some great action. And like I said, it's got some good music. And so that's my number 5.
It is on my list. I do have a playlist set up of movies that I still need to watch, and that playlist is between movies that are still releasing and movies that I discuss on this podcast. That playlist is ever growing, and still growing. But Tomorrow War is still at the top. There's one thing I'm very curious about, and I don't want you to reveal if they how it's solved, if it is, but I don't know if you can let me know if it is mentioned or discussed. The one thing about that movie that I'm very curious to find out, because as you mentioned, I do know the story, the plot line, in that the war's 30 years in the future. They come back to the past or to the present day to recruit people to go into the future. My question is, knowing what I know about time travel films, is if you go to the future and you die in the war, doesn't that kind of change the timeline?
So I don't want to reveal too much, but it's they're clued into it very early in the movie when one of the other characters is talking to Chris Pratt, and he says, "Did you notice that everyone who came back in time is very young, and everyone that they're sending forward in time is over 40 or something to that effect. Everyone who
probably because they have the least amount of impact on the timeline if they don't return.
Correct. Because what Chris Pratt says is, well, that's because we're probably dead in the future already, and these people that are here haven't been born yet.
Got it. Okay.
So that's kind of how they avoid that. But you're right. They don't really talk about it. Like, and there's a lot of people that do die. Like the casualties are huge.
Oh, I'm sure it's a war.
But yeah. And so they don't really address kind of what happened like in that case, in those cases. So,
okay. I'm curious, and I might have to bump it up a couple of spots in my playlist now.
I probably watch it again sometime in the next 2 weeks, just because it's that much fun, and it's got a great, like, the story has a couple of times that they could have ended it. Yeah. And they didn't. But they kept it going. It was good. It was a good keeping it going, not a bad keeping it going. Okay.
Fair enough. So my number 5 is I'm going into the past. I'm certainly not going into the future on my number 5. My number 5 is from 1989. I went with Glory.
That was my one in my honorable mentions that got moved from my top 5 to my honorable mentions.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's, Civil War, not documentary. It's a film, but Civil War, epic film. Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, who won an Oscar for his performance. Cary Elwes, Andre Braugher, who we know as from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Captain Holt. I was just getting caught up on the new season before we started recording.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman, incredible cast in the movie, and it's a movie that I revisit from time to time. It is a longer movie as well. I believe it's not too long. I think it's over 2 hours, which for 1989 was long. Yeah, that was a longer film. But yeah, this is a movie that I constantly go back to just because it's told so well. The cinematography is amazing in the film, and it's just, I mean, I really don't know what else to say about the movie.
I will bump it up on my list to watch, because that's the one of the ones on this list that I've only seen, that if I remember correctly, I think I've only seen it once. I think I only watched it the one time when I saw it either in the theaters or when it came out on video after the theaters, and I don't think I've revisited it, but it did have an impact. So
yeah, it's one of those movies that I remember actually being shown in high school. At high school, or maybe even middle school. Might have even been middle school, because 1989. I graduated in 98, so it would have had to have been maybe 7th or 8th grade.
I can see that, because it would have come out on video about that time.
It was definitely on VHS at the time that I watched it. And I remember it being one of those 2 VHS sets, which always intrigued me. Anytime I saw a movie that was 2 VHS cassettes, I was like, ooh, this must be a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why I equated 2 with being a good film, but most of the time it was right. But the storytelling is powerful. I mean, Denzel Washington's performance is amazing. I mean, in my opinion, Glory is still, there's been a couple movies about the Civil War that have come out over time. Glory still is at the top of the list when it comes to the Civil War.
Absolutely. I will bump it up on my my list to watch.
There you go. Number 4. What do you got?
Number 4 for me is Casualties of War.
It's a great movie.
I rewatched it a few weeks ago just because I wanted to remind myself of how horrific it is. And it's a tough rewatch. I want to warn that of anybody. If you don't know the story, it's a based on a true story of soldiers in the Vietnam War who kidnapped a girl, raped her, and killed her. And those men were prosecuted. And it stars Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn. And I actually have the DVD of it that has an extended version. And there's a documentary on there that talks about Brian De Palma and how much he wanted to do this movie, and how he had to do The Untouchables in order to get the kind of pull to do this movie. Mm-hmm. And Casualties of War is it's an amazing performance by Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn. It's got
John C. Reilly, I remember, is in.
I believe it was his debut.
I think you're right. I think it was because it was 1989. I think.
in that area. I did not write down the year, but I think that sounds about right. I don't remember if I saw this in the theater or not. It's right around the time when I was joining the military, so I may have seen it in the theater, but I definitely remember this movie. And when I revisited just a few weeks ago, it is a very powerful movie, but it is tough to watch.
It's a movie I haven't seen probably in over 15, maybe even 20 years. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but yeah, it's another one of those movies that did make an impact because I remember it. Mm-hmm. And probably because of the performances of Michael J. Fox, who anybody who's listened to this podcast already knows I'm a huge fan of because of Back to the Future. So obviously, when you're a fan of an actor from one franchise, you branch out and you see what else he's done. And that's how I came across Casualties of War.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say I had forgotten that John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo is also in the movie.
A very young John Leguizamo.
And I think Ving Rhames is in the movie as well, if I remember correctly.
I think it's Ving Rhames who plays the captain. And it's such a good performance. And when you hear in that documentary, when you hear Brian De Palma talk about the casting choices of Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn, that they wanted someone who had the innocence and honesty of Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
To play that part. Because it was not a typical part that you would have seen him playing in like an action movie. And so Casualties of War.
That's a great choice. That's one I didn't really think about. But yeah, that's a great choice. My number 4 is going back to 1986. And it is a Oliver Stone war epic called Platoon.
On my honorable mentions.
Your honorable mentions. Yeah, it is. I mean, you talk about a visceral portrayal of a time of war during the Vietnam War. This is, I mean, it's up there. Not only that, but you look at the cast, you have Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger,
Willem
Dafoe, Forrest Whitaker, John C. McGinley, Johnny Depp. I know there's people I'm forgetting because the cast was expansive. But I mean, it's one of those movies that is not for kids at all. Cause it's a hard watch. And I mean, I fully understand because of movies like Platoon for anybody who was in those wars, how that could be tough to watch for some people, because I mean, I think from what I understand, I think Platoon was even written from personal accounts of Oliver Stone's time in the Vietnam War.
I think I remember reading something about that. Yeah. I don't know if he shot himself to get himself home, but
yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly a biography of his time in the Vietnam War, but I think he was consulting stories that he had himself, because if I remember correctly, he was a veteran of the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I do remember that it was supposed to be an amalgam or whatever you call it of true stories. So,
but yeah, it's Platoon is another one of those movies. I haven't seen it in a number of years. I haven't seen it probably in over a decade, but it's one that sticks with me just because of I remember how potent the storytelling was and how visceral that it was. So I'm sorry, what were you going to say something?
I was going to say my number 3.
Oh, go. That's where I was going to go.
Yeah,
so
my number 3, and I'll be kind of surprised if it may not be on your list, but it may be in your honorable mentions, is The Patriot.
Oh, that's my number 3.
Oh, nice.
So that works out.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that movie. I rewatched it just a while back, and I'm just reminded of as crazy as he is now, and whatever you feel about him, Mel Gibson is an amazing actor.
We were just talking about this with a group of friends of mine, of being able to separate the art from the person.
Yeah.
And Mel's a prime example of that. Like he's had his demons in some things that he said and some things that he's done, but he's not so full bore crazy or disgusting, rather. Like some other people like Kevin Spacey or some other actors we can mention, that I'm not able to separate movies that he's done from the person that he is. plus these are movies that were produced and made before we found out the kind of person that he was.
Yeah.
So you look at movies like The Patriot and Braveheart or Forever Young or The Man Without a Face or the Lethal Weapon films. Like,
yeah,
I'm able to still watch those movies and love them for what they are.
Nice. But one of the reasons for me that this is my number 3 is because when I was in high school, I wrote a report about the Revolutionary War, and I focused on kind of why we were able to defeat the British. And 2 of the reasons why, one of them is portrayed in this movie and the other one is not. And I don't remember if it was an American who invented it, but one of the reasons why we were able to win is because the British were using very old style muskets that did not have rifle barrels. And if you don't know what rifling is, in the barrel of a gun, it's grooves basically that do it. They can't see me, my finger. That basically it's grooves that run down the length of the barrel that make the bullet spin so that when it comes out, it flies straight. Whereas with old style muskets that didn't have rifling, the bullet would come out and it could go almost any direction. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember if it was an American who invented that, but it was definitely because Americans were at that time using rifles that they had to use to survive. That was the only way they were getting dinner, was if their rifle could shoot accurately. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the reasons why the British would, and also then the other reason, which is portrayed in this movie, is the British would line up in their standard phalanx line and just go forward and shoot. And then the guys behind them would shoot while the others reloaded. The Americans started using what the Indians had used, and they started using guerrilla warfare on them. And that's what we see portrayed in this movie, is that guerrilla warfare kind of style that pushed back.
And, when you talk about these military tactics, that they used to win the Revolutionary War and such, like, that's one of the things that always kind of astonished me when I watch The Patriot, is you see those moments where they literally march forward, they take aim, they fire, and to just stand there as shots are being fired back at you, like that always astonished me. Like, it made me realize, like, I don't know if it means I'm a coward, but I just couldn't do that. Like, I'm not going to stand on a front line and just stand there and wait for them to fire back.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you look at the stark differences in warfare between what we see portrayed in The Patriot from the Revolutionary War to movies like Full Metal Jacket and Platoon, to wars like the Vietnam War. And you look how far warfare changed from then to then. And it's so intriguing. But yeah, there's a big point of contention between mainly between me and our friend Wendy as to what movie is better, The Patriot and or Braveheart. And Wendy, if you're listening, which I hope you are, the fact that The Patriot made the top 5 and Braveheart didn't should give you the answer to that question.
I will tell you. I can also see, though, why someone would prefer Braveheart over The Patriot. I mean, I don't, but I can see why someone would.
Don't get me wrong. I love Braveheart. It is an amazing movie. But when you compare Braveheart to The Patriot for Mel Gibson war movies, I put The Patriot ahead.
I put it. Yeah.
It's
there's one scene in particular for me that always gets me teary, and that's when Heath Ledger and when they leave, and he leaves his children behind,
and the daughter.
Yeah, and the daughter.
Yeah.
And even though I don't have kids, I have left family behind to go do things, to go serve, and seeing that portrayed so well on their faces and their reactions, that's one scene that gets me every time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's even really sad when you think about it too, because that actress passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that the actress that played his daughter passed away at the age of 21.
Oh.
So she was still relatively young, and I don't think she had done much past The Patriot. I think a couple roles here and there, but The Patriot is definitely what she's most known for. Wow. But you're absolutely right. Like, I still, as many times as I've seen that movie, as him and Gabriel are riding off, and you see her kind of welt up, and she just says "Papa" and just starts running towards him, like chills, like how could you leave after that?
Yeah.
Like you've been waiting all this time for your daughter to speak to you, and when she finally does, you still ride off. I mean, I get it. Yeah, it was something you had to do, but man, that scene still gets me every time too.
Yeah.
So, and I think, and one of the other things I learned about this movie, man, he's a major prick, but I love Jason Isaacs.
Yes,
in this film. Because he is, Tavington, the main villain of the protagonist of the story, or antagonist of the story. And one of the things I learned is I listened to another podcast that Jason Isaacs was a guest on. And, one of the hosts of the podcast had brought up, in order to get into that mindset where you guys kind of like play acting as enemies on the set, like where you kind of like, did you stay away from each other to kind of keep that balance? And he's like, no, he's like, they called cut. Mel and I would go ride horses.
Yeah.
He's like, we'd go ride horses. He's like, me, him, and Heath would go ride horses. We'd go drinking. Like, no, he's like, we were great friends on set. He's like, we were just able to turn it off for the role.
I think it's the difference between character actors and method actors. Like, I think character actors can like turn it off, and method actors have to be more like, they have to stay in that headspace.
But that scene, man, when those two are finally face to face, and Benjamin Martin says to him, before this war is over, I'm going to kill you. And Tavington's like, well, why wait?
Yeah.
Like that scene. I love that scene so much. Very cool. I'm so glad we shared enough. Yeah. And you know what? In 10 plus episodes of this podcast, I think that's a first.
Nice.
Where me and the guest we've shared the same movie in the same spot. Yeah. I've shared movies with other people in top 5. I think that's the first time it's ever been the same movie in the same spot.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's great. I love it.
So I guess that brings us to my number 2.
Yeah. Let's do it.
My number 2 is the OG, the original version, Red Dawn from 1986. I believe. I hope I got that year right. I think I did. And this is a movie that I saw in the theater. It was the first PG. It was the actual official PG, first movie to get the PG-13 rating. Even though Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom, they released it first, it got PG, and then they kind of went back and redid it. But Red Dawn was actually and at that time in the 80s, you could, when the theaters were done showing a movie, they would just lay the movie posters out and you could just grab them for free. And I have that poster framed and mounted on my wall today and it's still the same one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
When I joined the military, I folded it up. Unfortunately, I was young and stupid. I folded it and put it in a Foot Locker. And when I retired, I went back home and I got that Foot Locker. And when I opened it up, the first thing I saw was that poster. And I was like, oh, so I took it to a Hobby Lobby, and she said, well, the only thing I can do that'll really make it pop is that they had to wet mount it, which means they glue it to a mount. But it's set on my wall today. You can see the crease lines from the folds. If you look closely, you can see the staple marks where I had stapled it to my wall in my room, and I have that poster to this day. So
that might be worth some money one day.
It's in such poor condition. It might be worth it, but I may take a picture of it and send it to you. See if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like to see it
or something. But I don't know if it would be worth any money because, like I said, it is glued onto the thing, and it's got fold marks and stuff. But as old as it is, maybe, I don't know.
And plus, it's probably more sentimental value,
absolutely,
than anything else.
Yeah.
Red Dawn is a movie. It's from. I just looked it up. It's 1984.
1984. Okay.
And it's a movie I don't think I've seen probably since like 1995.
Wow.
I think I was still in high school the last time I watched Red Dawn. And just as a friendly note, you don't have to say OG Red Dawn because we don't count the other one.
We don't count the Chris Hemsworth Red Dawn. Okay.
I love Chris Hemsworth, but we don't count that one.
It did have Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it, but still, that's
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at the cast of the two, like, Chris Hemsworth and Jeffrey Dean Morgan are great. But I mean, you're talking Patrick Swayze, Leah Thompson, C. Thomas Howell. Like, come on.
That Charlie Sheen. That's an amazing cast. And like I said, it's one of those few movies. If you're right. So 1984, I would have been either 13 or 14 years old, depending on when it came out. So I would have just been able to legally go see it in the theaters, but I saw that in the theater.
That's what I'm going to have to add to the list to revisit. Because like I said, it's been a long time since I've watched the original Red Dawn. But yeah, I'm going to have to bump that one up.
Okay.
So my number 2 is probably the most recent of all the movies on my list, but it is a movie that my ex, her father was a Vietnam War veteran. She really loved watching war films to the point of nauseum. Like she would find a movie she loved and her mother would watch them, no lie, like 20 times in a week. But I remember actually going over and watching this movie with them and really enjoying it to the point where I watched it like 4 or 5 times in a week. And that's Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, not on my list.
From 2016, directed by Mel Gibson, but starring Andrew Garfield and Sam Worthington. It is based on a true story of a pacifist in the war. He just does not want to kill at all. And it's a really, really interesting, portrayal of this character in watching someone who just doesn't want to kill, doesn't want to harm, and how he would exist in a war.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's World War II that it takes place in, but it was an Oscar winning film because I believe it won Best Picture for the year it was out. And Andrew Garfield is just phenomenal.
I'm going to have to. I actually have that Blu-ray in my collection, but I don't think I've ever watched it.
Yeah, it's worth the watch. It's really worth the watch. It's and I think Mel Gibson's son is in the movie as well, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's such an interesting story. Like I said, how do you tell? I love watching movies that are based on true stories, especially when they're true stories that I had no idea about. And just the idea of a pacifist in the war during World War II, which is still one of the largest wars we've been a part of. How do you exist?
Yeah.
In that environment, and seeing what he went through, and he may not have been he may have been a pacifist in that he didn't want to kill anybody, but the heroism that he showed in actions, I'm trying to skirt around it as to not spoil anything. The heroism that he showed in some of the things that he does is just, it was no wonder. It was no wonder that when I watched that movie with my ex and her mom, I was like, all right, I'll give you this one. This is one worth watching 20 times in a week. This is a good one.
Did he get the Medal of Honor? I mean, that won't spoil anything for me.
Yes, he does. Okay. Yes. And he was a medic. He was a medic in the war, and he does receive the Medal of Honor.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I will have to bump that one up as well.
Actually, he was the first man to ever receive the Medal of Honor.
Oh, okay. Even better.
He's the first American in history to receive the Medal of Honor.
Okay. Very cool.
So it's worth it. Put it on your list and bump it up high.
Absolutely.
It's an amazing film. But that leads us into our number ones, and mine's a biggie. I don't know where yours is. I'm very curious if we're going to share this one as well, but what have you got?
I don't think, I mean, maybe, but it's a big movie, but it is a movie that, how can I don't want to say changed my life, but it's a movie that really affected me and I really enjoyed it. And that's Apocalypse Now. Okay.
Not my number one, but is on my honorable mentions.
Yeah. It's a great movie. And just, what made it even better for me. I discovered this movie when I was in high school. Obviously I wasn't, going to movies. I think I was 3 years. I think it's 73 or 74. So I wasn't going to movies when it came out.
Oh, Apocalypse Now was 79.
79. Okay. Well, it's still 9 years old. I probably wasn't going to.
Yeah, probably not.
But I discovered it in high school, and just the story for me just was amazing. And the way it was told, I thought was incredible. And the fact that it was based on the Joseph Conrad book, Heart of Darkness, which I read in high school.
I did too.
Was absolutely cool. But what made it even better later in life was, in sometime in the 90s, I watched it on HBO, I believe, the first time when it came out. There's a documentary called Hearts of Darkness,
Yep.
A Filmmaker's Apocalypse.
I've seen it.
It's all about Francis Ford Coppola and what he went through and it's just an amazing documentary that when I watch the movie, I will then follow it up with watching that documentary. Because I actually,
believe it or not, not to interrupt you, but I actually like Hearts of Darkness better than Apocalypse Now.
I would almost say now as an adult, I'm the same. I like Hearts of Darkness, the documentary, better than I like the actual movie that it's based on. But I have the Apocalypse Now Blu-ray set, the Redux, which has all the different versions of it. And so I love to watch the 2.5 hour, 3 hour version that has his full cut of the movie. And it's just great. So Apocalypse Now is my number one.
That's a great choice. I mean, again, it's in my honorable mentions, and I think it's only in my honorable mentions and not in my top 5 because of the fact that I do enjoy Hearts of Darkness better than Apocalypse Now. And I couldn't include Hearts of Darkness because it's a documentary. Right. It's not technically a war film. But yeah, I totally get it. And I mean, you look at the performances from Martin Sheen and Marlon Brando, like mean, you want to talk about like iconic movie scenes or movie lines. I mean, you've got one of each in this film, from Marlon Brando's head coming out of the water to I love the smell of napalm in the morning from Robert Duvall. Yeah. It's iconic. So
yeah. I love that scene. That's one of those scenes that I love to watch. But for me, as much as that line is iconic, I love the line that he says right after it, which is he looks at Martin Sheen. He says, "Someday this war is going to end," and then he just walks away.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like,
yeah, it's just, that's a great choice. I applaud you on that one. That's a great choice. Which leads me to my number one. And this is a movie that I, up until this year, I used to watch every year around 4th of July, just because when you think of ways to remember and immortalize people that gave their lives, a lot of people watch war movies around 4th of July. And my go-to around 4th of July every year was Saving Private Ryan. Nice. 1998. Directed by Steven Spielberg, starring God, who wasn't in this movie?
Yeah, exactly.
Tom Hanks, Adam Goldberg, Giovanni Ribisi, Ted Danson, Matt Damon, Vin Diesel, Paul Giamatti, Tom Sizemore, Dennis Farina. Who wasn't in this movie?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you talk about I don't want to say realistic, only because I didn't live through it. So that's why I won't use that term. But from what I understand, one of the most realistic portrayals of the Normandy beach invasion.
That's what I've heard. And wasn't it, I believe I read it was also based on a Civil War account, wasn't it? Where 2 or 3 brothers were killed, and there was like a last one out there that they sent somebody to go get something like that.
It would not surprise me. Not surprise me one bit if that is the case. But yeah, I mean, this is a movie that starts with a veteran visiting, that cemetery. Mm-hmm. And then the movie tells basically it's his accounting of his remembering everything that happened leading up to that point. And that opening scene on Normandy Beach is so visceral and so intense that I think the first time I saw that movie, and as well as a couple times afterwards, I cried. Mm-hmm. Because it's tough because of how realistic it was portrayed. But that's Spielberg. I mean, that was just his movie making, and that's what he wanted. He wanted it to be. He wanted it to be realistic.
Yeah.
So that's why number one, I had to go with it.
I have not revisited that one in a while, so I may have to revisit it.
It's an amazing movie. And Tom Hanks, man, is just, it's going to be another episode of Wilhelm that's going to be really difficult to do. And that's when we dive into Tom Hanks movies.
Nice.
Because there's so many good ones. I mean, and you're talking the movie itself, I think has won almost 100 awards.
That's crazy.
Not, I think 5 of them Oscars.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Very cool. Very good. Number one. I applaud you.
Let's jump into some honorable mentions.
Okay.
And these are ones that we don't have to spend a lot of time on. If you want to, it's great. If not, we can just kind of mention it and move on.
Okay.
I have, let me see if I count mine. I have about 11, actually 10, because we mentioned Apocalypse Now already, so I can take that one out.
I've only got 8 with the one, and one of them you already mentioned was Full Metal Jacket. So you've already kind of mentioned that one earlier.
Full Metal Jacket is one of mine as well, is one of my honorable mentions as well. So we can kind of take that one off.
Okay.
So do you want me to kick off the honorable mentions then?
Sure, go ahead.
This is one I kind of had to. It's tricky. It almost made my top 5 because I almost didn't consider it a war movie because there's no actual combat in the film. It's a movie that takes place during the war and it's surrounding the war. It involves the Vietnam War, but there's no actual combat that takes place in the movie. And that's Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Me being the massive Robin Williams fan that I am. But again, the reason why I couldn't put it in the top, I love the movie. I adore the movie. But the reason why I felt like I couldn't put it in my top 5 is, again, there's no combat that takes place in the movie. So it kind of rides the line as to whether or not it can be considered a war movie.
Okay.
So, but it's on there.
Yeah. So my first one is it's a movie that stars Gregory Hines and Willem Dafoe, and it is called Off Limits. And it's about a pair of Army investigators during the Vietnam War who are investigating the murder of Vietnamese prostitutes that had half American, half Vietnamese children.
Okay.
And
I've never seen it.
It stars Fred Ward is in it. Scott Glenn is in it. And the woman is escaping me who's in it, but she, another big, plays a nun in it is really good. So yeah, I this is one that I almost put in my top 5, but it's not really about the war. It's about Saigon during the war, so I didn't really include it in my top 5, but this is a movie that I watch probably at least twice a year. I'll pop it in and just watch it because I just really enjoy it. And it's got great performances and I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I'll have to check it out. I've never seen it. Another honorable mention on my side. I went with 2001's Black Hawk Down.
That's on my list.
Yeah. Josh Hartnett, Tom Sizemore, Ewan McGregor, just a great, not a lot of character development in the movie, but I mean, from action sequences, it's just a heart pounding portrait of war that just really shows off Ridley Scott's filmmaking. And it's what I'm a fan of. So
I actually have the book that Michael J. Durant wrote that was the basis for that movie, I believe.
Nice.
And I got him. I actually saw him at a signing and he signed it for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's really, really cool. And I love that movie because it portrayed for the first time that I had seen anyway on film, the Air Force Special Forces people, which are combat controllers and the guys who rescue the guys out of the water. I can't remember. Yeah. Not paratroopers. Some
paralegals.
Yeah, that's it. I'll never forget when I was at the NCO Academy, which is one of our schools they send us to teach us how to be better managers. And one of those combat controllers was in it. And it was in the school, and we were in formation one day, and we were at ease, but he had a piece of lint on his shoulder, and I made sure to announce myself. And tell him, you have some lint, because we were about to go into an inspection. And I said, you have some lint on your shoulder. I'm just going to brush it off. I don't want you to break my neck. Because those combat controller guys, they are just as badass as any other special forces.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Any other military has.
I have no doubt. What's another honorable mention on your list?
We Were Soldiers. Another Mel Gibson.
Oh, man, Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah. And it's just another one of those. I really love it.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a good choice. I don't know why I didn't include that in my my honorable mentions. I'm going with one from 1970. I'm going with Kelly's Heroes.
Oh, nice. Clint Eastwood, Don
Rickles, and Donald Sutherland. It's just it's satire. So there's definitely some comedic elements to it, but it's still a great portrayal of World War II. And it's just a movie that I very similar to MASH, which I did not include in my honorable mentions, which I should have.
Yeah.
But it's just a fun movie, and I really enjoy it.
Very cool. My next one is The Dirty Dozen.
Good choice.
Yeah. Lee Marvin, not the Equalizer, Death Wish guy, Charles Bronson, is in it. And another one based on a book that I've read the book, and it's very close. Telly Savalas is in it, but yeah, The Dirty Dozen.
Oh, nice choice. I am going with another one from more recent, 2014, movie called Fury.
Oh, yes.
Brad Pitt, John Bernthal, and a surprisingly fantastic performance from Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, I would totally agree. Yeah.
Like really, really great performance from Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Brad William Henke, who we most recently knew is Tom Cullen in The Stand.
Yes, very cool. Very cool. Good choice.
Thank you.
My next one, let's see if we haven't brought up, is a movie that stars Powers Booth and Rebecca De Mornay. It is an HBO original film from the 90s called By Dawn's Early Light.
Never heard of it.
It is about the start of World War III. It is about a nuclear missile that is launched from somewhere into a NATO country, and the Russians go into their automatic response and the Americans go into their automatic response. And then what happens after that? So it's really good. It's got James Earl Jones in it. I can't remember who plays. It's another one's got a lot of stars in it, and you may be seeing it as a request on Netflix. So
okay, fair enough. And if that's the case, I will probably have to watch it when it pops up. So for my next one is one that I still remember from when I was going through a John Wayne phase.
Okay.
And that is The Longest Day.
Oh, very nice. I did not include any John Wayne movies.
1962, another Events of D-Day film. John Wayne, Henry Fonda, Paul Anka, a number of people, a number of familiar faces in this movie. It's a movie I haven't seen in a long time, but it's one I remember. It's probably one of two of my favorite John Wayne movies, that along with The Quiet Man.
I don't know if I've ever actually watched it, now that I say that. So
The Quiet Man or The Longest Day?
No, The Longest Day.
Oh, okay.
The Longest Day. So so my next one is kind of like your Good Morning Vietnam. It's not really a war movie, but it takes place during the war, and that's A Soldier's Story.
Not familiar.
This is a movie from World War II when there was segregation, and it is about a black NCO who is murdered on a fort, and they send it's not Cindy. Is it Sidney Poitier? It might be Sidney. I can't remember now. I think it's Sidney Poitier is a captain and a lawyer, and they send him to investigate the murder to this very southern fort that has it's a great. It stars Denzel Washington also. Okay. By the way. And so I don't want to give anything away, but basically it's the first time they've seen a Negro officer on this fort. So
interesting.
There's a lot of clashing. There's some other Wings Hauser is in it. And just it's got a great cast, and it's a great story. It's based on a play. And I believe the guy who wrote the play wrote the screenplay.
Wrote the screenplay for the film as well.
I think so. Yeah.
I will have to add that to the ever-growing playlist of movies I need to watch.
It's another one that I probably watch a couple times a year.
Okay. All right. That usually helps me move it higher up on the list. All right. So for my next honorable mention, I'm going to name two of the stars of the movie, and I'm going to see if you can guess.
Okay.
And I have a feeling you probably will. Steve McQueen and James Gardner.
Oh, the Prison Break one.
Yes.
With the motorcycle.
Yes. And the Great Escape.
The Great Escape.
Yes.
Thank you. It's like, I know that movie. I've watched that movie.
Yep. It's basically the prisoners of war from World War II plan a massive prison break from a German camp.
Yeah.
And it's just I like it. I mean, yeah. I think it's a great movie to rewatch every once in a while.
Yeah. If I remember the trivia in that, there's some, like, they shot multiple scenes of Steve McQueen driving a motorcycle as a German soldier, as himself, as other soldiers. Like it was him doing a lot of the motorcycle stunts. I'm
pretty sure it was him doing a lot of the stunts.
I think I read that. So yeah, very, very cool. So my last one is it's not really a war movie, but it has a war scene in it, and it involves POWs and MIAs, and it's called Uncommon Valor.
Another one I haven't seen.
It stars Gene Hackman, Patrick Swayze, Randall Tex Cobb, Fred Ward is in it. It's got an amazing cast. Reb Brown is in it, and he has he's a demolitions expert, and he has a wonderful scene where he describes a series of demolitions that he's going to do in it. And it's a really cool movie. And it's another one that, like I said, I probably revisit it a couple times a year.
Okay, fair enough. So I have a couple more. I'll push through them pretty quickly. My next honorable mention is one I will freely admit. The only reason I watched it was because I found out that it was a favorite movie of Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, and that is Bridge on the River Kwai.
I have that. I haven't watched it in a long time.
I've watched it probably within the last 6 or 7 years. I enjoyed it. It's a movie I didn't know what to expect because there's not a lot of familiar faces in the movie as well, with the exception of Alec Guinness, who most people know as Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars films. But it kept my attention, and I was really, really entranced in watching it. I was having fun.
Very, very cool.
And then the last two I have The Hurt Locker from 2009. And this one I think it fits because it absolutely takes place during the war because they're a bunch of Nazi killing bastards. Oh, that's Inglourious Bastards. I almost put that on my list, and I just forgot one that I meant to put on my list that I wanted. Nope, too late. Can't mention it. Oh no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Three Kings. Oh, man, Clooney, Ice-T, and Wahlberg. That's right, Mike Wahlberg. I almost said Donnie. Donnie did not do that movie. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a while. Yeah. That is a really, really good movie. Yeah, I meant to put it on my list and totally forgot. I'm glad I remembered it right before because that's my time frame of I didn't go overseas during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was doing support at a base in Fort Worth. But that's one of the reasons why I like that movie is because I was in during that time, sort of thing. So, that was something I've never asked you, and I hope you don't mind me asking you now. Did you ever see combat during your time in the military? I did not. I never saw combat. Came close a couple times. I was I was stationed in Korea, where if you know much about Korea, maybe not as recently now. But when I was in Korea, which was 1996 and 97, 2006 to 2007, we would do war games and we would do exercises, and you had to be real. You had to be prepared because that was where it could really happen. And I went through a couple of exercises that were really intense. Yeah. And before anybody sends me a message, I know I said Ice-T with Three Kings. It's Ice Cube. I know. I'm correcting myself. Good. I'm just really elated that neither one of us mentioned McHale's Navy as one of our top or honorable mention movies. Not although really a war movie, so to speak. Hey, it's an exercise, I guess. Yeah. So. Well, I mean, speaking of, it's one of the only reasons I didn't include Down Periscope. Right. Because it's more an exercise. It's not an actual war. Yeah. But if that would have qualified, that would have been in my honorable mentions at the least. And neither one of us said Sergeant Bilko. So I love Sergeant Bilko. I know it's a horrible movie, but that's such a guilty pleasure movie of mine. His salute is just so horrible. Nobody can see us doing it because we're doing it on Zoom. And you can't really describe it other than maybe spirit fingers. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so so that's a good discussion. Yeah, a lot of great movies in there, and I've added more to the list of movies I need to watch. Which me too. Movies I will never get to, or it will be a while before I get to them. The list just keeps getting longer and longer. Although I did bump Red Dawn up in a rewatch because I need to. Yeah, that's one I do remember that movie, and it's been a while.
It's under 2 hours, and that cast is just so outstanding. And there's a line in it that I'll never forget that Powers Booth delivers. And one of the kids, that might be C. Thomas Howell, asked him why it started or how it started. And he said, two biggest kids on the block, someday, eventually, they're going to fight. And then he says, maybe we just forgot what it was like.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that line is so powerful. Don't ever forget.
I need to bump that up on the rewatch list. So, but yeah, lots of great movies that came up in this discussion. I'm so glad I had you on to do this one. And I know we've already got you lined up for a couple more episodes in the future. So it's not the last time people are going to hear you. But this is an opportunity for you to promote whatever you got going on, any podcasts that you're a part of, as well as any you just want to plug for you think people should listen to.
So as you said at the beginning, I'm co-host with Mark Kirkman for Panels to Pixels podcast right here on the Next Level Podcast Network. So I definitely want to push that Panels to Pixels podcast.
Hey, you've already got a leg up because you mentioned Next Level Podcast Network correctly, which Mark hasn't done, I think, since he started doing Panels to Pixels.
I always forget whether online is in there or not. So thank you. I'm glad I got it right. But I do want to promote, a couple of our other podcast friends, which is Strange Indeed. I send voicemails to them all the time, and they're
live streaming.
Yeah, they cover Sweet Tooth right now, and we already mentioned Run for Your Lives, but so
cool. Panels to Pixels, anywhere podcasts are found, you can find it. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I think it's on iHeart, but Stitcher, it's anywhere you listen to podcasts, search for Panels to Pixels and you'll find it. And it's you guys do great coverage of those comic book movies and comic book shows. I know you covered like Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, all those new Marvel series that came out. I'm sure you'll be covering the new Spider-Man when that hits theaters in December.
Oh, so excited. That trailer is something else, man.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That end of that trailer is just gave me goosebumps.
Oh, I got goosebumps a number of times in that trailer, but we'll talk about that when we're done recording.
All right.
We're not going to bore people with that on here. But as for this podcast, if you like what you hear on the show, you can be sure to leave me a review of the show on whatever podcasting platform that you listen on. The more reviews I get, the more I'm able to reach more audiences because it gets more attention. It gets higher up on the list and people get to find it a little easier. So the more reviews, the more people we reach. I'll also be sure to follow Wilhelm on social media, such as Facebook at facebook.com/the Wilhelm Podcast and the Wilhelm Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Finally, if you want to be a guest or you have an idea for a topic that you want to hear me discuss, like a film franchise you want to hear me talk about, a debate you want to hear me settle, a movie you want to hear me take a deep dive in, all you have to do is let me know. You can message me on any of the places I mentioned, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or you can email me directly at the Wilhelm Podcast at gmail.com. Last but not least, I want to thank everybody. I know I took the week off last week. No reason in particular, just decided to take a week off. I can do that because I'm the host. But I did get the week before that was when I did the Robin Williams tribute with a couple of friends, and I got a lot of great feedback on that episode. So I want to just thank everybody for the awesome feedback on that. I had a number of people say that like our stories and such got them choked up a little bit when they were listening. And that just means, Robin touched other people's lives as well as just my own. And I knew that was the case anyway. So, but that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Steve, thanks for coming on and doing this.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I think the next one we have you lined up for is going to be another fun one. And that's Westerns.
Yeah. That's another tough one.
God, it's a really, I know my number one, but outside of that, I don't know.
My number one, I'm hovering on it.
Yeah.
But I got
it. And that's the thing. I could start looking at other Westerns that I know and they could bump my number one.
Yeah.
Just because I might think of one I haven't thought of in a while. So
absolutely.
But I don't know. My number one might be hard to touch, in my opinion, but we'll see. We'll see when we get to that. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Wilhelm. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for the reviews, the positive feedback. Tell your friends. I tell everybody, tell 3 of your friends. If every one person told 3 of their friends, just give it a shot. Listen to an episode or 2. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you do, great. Tell them to tell more people. And that's how it works. Thank you for being a part of this audience. But until next time, we'll see you guys down the road. Take care.